Look at almost any past attempt to map out the 21st century, and you will find a common mistake. Planners usually pictured their own era, just stretched out. They imagined taller buildings, faster trains, and heavier industry. They assumed tomorrow would be a louder, shinier version of today. In 1964, science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke took a radically different approach to forecasting. He was not interested in upgrading the present. He wanted to map the actual trajectory of human progress. Clarke began his forecast with a paradox. He argued that if a prediction about the year 2000 sounded reasonable to an audience in 1964, it was guaranteed to fail. To him, the only way to accurately visualize what was coming was to propose something that sounded absolutely unbelievable. This animation illustrates the core difference in his thinking. The flat, linear track represents an extension future, adding an extra lane to a highway. The sudden, exponential spike represents a fundamental future, a completely new reality that breaks that trajectory entirely. We are going to test Clarke's rule of the unbelievable. By digging into the specific claims he made to the BBC over 50 years ago, we can see exactly how a science fiction writer mapped the 21st century better than the era's leading engineers. To actually see what is coming next, you have to let go of the familiar. You have to completely abandon common sense. In the mid-20th century, economic survival required physical proximity. The modern city was the strict, irreplaceable center of human business. You had to physically stand in the exact same room as your coworkers, your clients, and your physical tools. Clarke looked at that rigid structure and proposed that the traditional role of the city would soon cease to make any sense. He told his audience that within a few decades, humanity would no longer commute to work. Instead, we would communicate. He traced this impending shift back to the invention of the communication satellite and the early transistor. By understanding how these basic components routed signals, he saw that instant contact with anyone on Earth was mathematically inevitable. He gave specific examples that sounded like pure fantasy at the time. He imagined an executive conducting administrative business from Bali, or a specialized brain surgeon standing in Edinburgh operating on a patient in New Zealand. Today, global asynchronous remote work is standard corporate policy, and hospitals routinely utilize robotic surgical systems controlled by doctors thousands of miles away from the operating table. True innovation did not solve the problem of geographic distance by building faster transport. It rendered distance an entirely irrelevant metric. His next claim pushed even further. Clarke predicted that the most intelligent inhabitants of the future would not be human at all, but machines capable of completely outthinking their creators. To understand how extreme this sounded, look at the hardware of his era. Computers in 1964 were massive mainframes that filled entire rooms. Clarke himself playfully called these early electronic brains complete morons. Clarke categorized artificial intelligence as a biological successor. He predicted the end of organic evolution and the start of an inorganic era, a transition where biological life hands the baton to a mechanical descendant. This timeline charts organic adaptation. Biological evolution takes millions of years to improve a species' cognitive traits. Now watch the mechanical phase. Clarke estimated inorganic evolution would be thousands of times swifter, quickly dwarfing the entire biological history of our planet. Artificial intelligence represents the next link in a cosmic chain of development. In this view, humans serve as the stepping stones, providing the biological foundation for a more advanced form of processing. It is easy to feel dread at the idea of machines surpassing us, yet Clarke suggested we look backward for context. We superseded the Neanderthals long ago, and we generally consider ourselves an improvement. Human beings possess immense capacity to adapt. We have survived massive environmental and societal overhauls, spanning from the Stone Age right up to the modern era. The future does not consist of handing a primitive society an advanced gadget. It works by completely erasing the things we currently take for granted. Clarke pointed to spinning wheels and sedan chairs and oil lamps. In their time, these objects were unquestioned necessities. Now they are museum pieces. The physical offices we build, the vehicles we drive, and the institutions we rely on today will one day join them, passing away completely. We can never truly outguess tomorrow. By accepting that the future will be unrecognizable and unbelievable, we can finally embrace the endless fascination of progress.